race. Koenigsegg, yep, he's got the advantage, but unironically, the average ducks to the inside. What a move! But Koenigsegg accelerating back on the outside. And there goes Salty Bonkos to the inside. Bashing door panels, sparks flying, smoke spraying. The Butler is going to go wide. Salty Bonkos on the inside. They're a little bit off the pace, but now accelerating all 500 horsepower. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, race fans around the globe. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you happen to be in this crazy, crazy world. Virtual Auto Sports back live on a Tuesday for the Forza Spec Racing Series, season number 33, week number 2, coming off of what was probably the most exciting racing action I've had to call here on Twitch in the, 3+ years that I've been doing this. The couple of years here recently, and then a couple of years or a year earlier on. But man, it was a spectacular showing. It's almost like that feeling where you're still coming off the excitement, the thrill of whatever it might be, whether it be a roller coaster ride or you went to a crazy sporting event, or our case, we had a fantastic virtual racing. I don't want to even say just one event. We had 2 of them. We had both Yas Marina, the short circuit, and then we went out to Le Mans, the Bugatti circuit, and that was a great race. Both of them happened to be won by AMS Udacan, who sits at the top of the leaderboard out in front of SGR Corvid by 8 points. Carbon there in third, Cratrim, Fear the Fun, DTR Maverick, then it's Slipstream, Audrex. Look in that middle column, you'll find Big Ben, SFM Darkser, LSEM Chaos Fox, Born as Ghost, Salty Bonkos representing the SVR team, LMP Phantom, Joe Beardy, DOR Hocus, IPR Wolf is 17th, Hoot Wheels in 18th after what was a devastating showing in week number 1, not of her own doing, but because there was a disconnect in the first race out at Yas Marina where Hoot Wheels, she was doing so good, and then got disconnected, and unfortunately that only yields you 3 points, and then not a great run out there at Le Mans Bugatti circuit, getting spun around in the last couple of laps or so. So Hoot Wheels, then Mega Chen, Grim, Slow Motion Fire, Modern Weapon, Little Bambier, or Bambier, whichever one. Matsky 203 is your 24th driver, and there is nobody behind that. However, here's the great thing about the Forza Spec Racing Series and where we are in the season right now is if you were to join today, and I'll have to take a look over the lobby here in a second and see if we have any new names, and by new names I mean those who just simply didn't race in week number 1, and those drivers are also going to be in the running for the championship. With that drop week rule in effect, they take your top 4 weeks worth of points, drop the 5th lowest one, and that's your championship point total. And then, of course, they've got an overall point total for anybody who's tracking that. But really, for all intents and purposes, it's all about that championship point total. And so who will have a go at Udacan here today? Who, yes, like I mentioned, went back-to-back Yas Marina South and Le Mans Bugatti, with Corvid, Carbon, Cratrim, and even Fear the Fun there in 5th position, doing really well with 70 points in total. Who of those 5 or any one of these other 23 drivers or anybody else who's going to show up maybe for the first time here in week number 2, who is going to make a run at Udacan, who is also strong back in season number 32, but it was LMP Chicago who ended up winning that season out and opted for this Pontiac Solstice GXP as the car of choice for season 33. 265 foot-pounds of torque is matched by that amount of horsepower, 265. 2,882 pounds of curb weight. That's 237 less than what this car came with off the showroom floor. And C500 is the class specification here in Forza Motorsport 7. What's up there, Slow Motion Fire? I see in the pit lanes. SVR Solar is here saying, "Do it, Dustin. I should have joined in on this." You should have, man. I don't think we've had Solar. I don't think we've seen you here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, and it's been a beaut for the last. Well, every season has been good, but it has incrementally become more competitive, and in a good way too. It's not so competitive that for those of you who know that you're not going to be in the running for a top 10, top 5, you could still come out here and have a ton of fun. We saw a huge pack of cars, mid-pack, in both our first 2 races. When you have a C500 class car like we have here with the Pontiac GXP Solstice, you tend to have that much closer racing because it's harder to make those crucial errors that are going to make you lose a lot of time. Now, if you do make an error in these cars, it often does cost you because then you have to take a lot of time to catch back up. However, as long as you keep at least 2 wheels within the racing track limits, then you are likely to be on pace with at least 1, 2, maybe even 5 other drivers out there on the track. And before you know it, you're vying for that top 10 spot as you improve your skill over time. Here's a look at our schedule here for season number 33 with week number 1 behind us. Last Tuesday, we've got here tonight, April 7th, Road America, the full track. Yes, believe it or not, the full circuit of Road America, the 4.05 mile track. That's not a misprint on the screen. This is true. They've opted for the full track, which means they are only going to be running, 12 laps. It says 19 on my... No, it does. It says 12. Pardon me. I was looking at the wrong one. Road America full, 12 laps. Then it's followed by race number 4 here tonight out at Top Gear, the West Circuit. And they'll be doing 50 laps around that track. The difference here with the 4th race of the season at the Top Gear West track is because Top Gear does not have a pit entry area, or there's nowhere to fix any damage, get fuel or tires or anything like that. There's no pit stops. Yes, tire wear and fuel depletion will be in this race, but you can get through 50 laps no problem in the Pontiac Solstice. It's with the vehicle damage both on the aero and on some of the mechanical bits that you won't have to contend with in that 4th race. And this is all ahead of week number 3, a week from tonight, out at Road Atlanta. That's the full track with 19 laps. That's the 19-lapper there. And then, this is going to be a fun one. The Nürburgring Nordschleife there for race number 6. And then you see race 7, 8, and the finale, race 9 in week 5 on April 28th. SVR Solar saying, actually, Top Gear West, I'll pass, he says. Not up for that one, says Solar. DWM Frog, good evening to you as well. And for those who gave some follows over the last 7 days, perhaps after you learned of our, what was a phenomenal broadcast, and not on my part, it was because of the folks out on the track, what they were able to provide in terms of entertainment. Particularly at Yas Marina. We have a lot of new names, or at least a lot of new followers here. Derek, Delta Live TV. Thank you very much, Delta Live TV. And if you guys aren't following Delta Live, give him a follow as well. Does a lot of great races himself. They host races and then they broadcast them. And so you'll want to check them out at Delta Live TV. And then Dust to Dust, Mr. Wolf 73 Dash Maple, which long time since I've heard that name. Dash Maple. We used to race with Dash Maple in the year when I was saying that there was a year that I broadcast prior to more recently. That's when we last heard of Dash Maple, and I don't think we've seen him since. I could be wrong, but I don't think we have. And then Mega Chen also with the follow. That dude Evan, Subaru Stig, and then some of the folks that followed during our broadcast last week, Panda, and Little Bambier. SFM Darkster with the subscription. Born as Ghost was doing some hosting. You guys there were subscribers, there were followers, there were hosts, there were raids. It was the whole kit and caboodle here a week ago. Let's see if things don't get amped up again here as we get ready for week number 2. They'll do qualifying, 3 laps around the Road America full track. So this is going to take a little bit of time, whereas some of our qualifying sessions are pretty quick and to the point. This one will obviously take a little bit longer to get through because of the length of the track. 4.05 miles in a C500 car. That's gonna take a little bit of time. Hoot Wheels with the raid of 13. Welcome for those of you hanging out with Hoot Wheels as she was maybe doing a little bit of preparation for tonight, or maybe doing something entirely different, and is just going to switch gears here in Forza Motorsport 7 and the Forza Spec Racing Series. Whatever it might be, welcome, and I hope you find the rest of the evening here to be very entertaining. And I know Hoot Wheels is probably the one driver that comes to mind when I think about my channel and a driver who has the largest cheering section, the largest fan base. It's Hoot Wheels. If anybody else can outdo her, then that would be, bring it on. Let's see it. That would be awesome. LSCM Chaos Fox now with the host. Thank you, Chaos Fox. Much appreciated. And we're looking back at the standings again. And remember, 100 points. That means that both races there by AMS Uticon were won, because 50 is the max points you can get in any one race, with the exception being the finale where points are doubled because it is just one race. And then SGR Corvid, and Carbon, Kratrium, Fear the Fun, Maverick, Slipstream, Audrex. A lot of big contenders there. And Audrex is the name that sticks out to me as the dark horse. That's the driver that he's always competitive, uber competitive, but we don't often see him this far up the leaderboard. And so this is a bit of a change of pace. At least it was in week number 1, and hopefully it'll continue here in week 2. Looking over to the queue for interview, I don't see anybody there. We're about to get qualifying going here in about a minute and a half, so we're really, 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 really close. Really close. LSCM Chaos Fox is here, and there's Hoot Wheels. AMS Uticon, 2 for 2. If you go back-to-back again, that really amplifies, that really amplifies things for the rest of the season, because everybody knows at that point that they cannot let you win. If you go 2 for 2 in week 1 and 2, then folks, there might be a bounty on your head at that point there, Uticon. And SFM Darkser saying, sup, man. Not a full lobby as of yet. Maybe we'll get some more folks in here just before qualifying gets kicked off. If not, then perhaps when the race gets going, because even if you don't qualify, you could still race. You'll just be placed at the back of the pack. Right now we've got Uticon in there, Kratrium, Carbon, SGR Corvid, Slipstream, Maverick, Fear the Fun, Born as Ghost, LSCM Chaos Fox, LMP Phantom, IPR Wolf, Hocus, Darkser, Grim, Slow Motion Fire, Joe Beardy, Lamborghini, and Modern Weapon. Lamborghini, new name here in week number 2. And if we take a look at Lamborghini's car, yep, sure enough, the orange number plate has never competed in a Forza Spec Racing Series to date. So he will make his debut here tonight, starting with Road America. One of the great tracks, one of the wonderful historic circuits in all of North America. I don't give it enough love, because really I find more excitement in a shorter track like Mazda Raceway. Well, I guess WeatherTech Raceway now at this point there at Laguna Seca. I'm trying to think of some of the other trucks or other tracks. Sebring, I'm a big fan of Sebring, even though it's pretty flat. It's kind of a complex circuit. Road America is just it's a big time momentum track, because there are long straightaways, as you'll find here. The first one right out the gate, off the start finish line, and at that point for qualifying, when we start at the start finish line, you'll only be halfway down that long straightaway. So when you come by for your flying lap, then it'll be even a longer trot that way through. And then after you come out of turn 1, a little bit of stretch downhill toward turn 3. Then you head from 3 to 5. There's a little kink there that they call turn 4. It doesn't really look like a turn to me in any case, but Moraine Sweep takes you down into turn number 5. Then you head uphill a bit to turn 6, 7 through Hurry Downs, 8. Then you hit that big carousel for turn 9 and 10. Bend is actually a nice little straightaway on the backstretch before you hit the kink at turn 14. Then you're at Kettle Bottoms, which is probably the third longest straight out here at Road America, entering Canada Corner. Got to get on the braking just right there. You got a little bit of runoff area to work with, but you time it right, and you're going to carry a lot of speed on through the corner into Thunder Valley. Turn 13 is Bill Mitchell Bend. Then turn 14 starts your trek uphill on this 4.05-mile circuit out here at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Beautiful, and hopefully, although it looks like it's a pretty cobweb-looking afternoon here overhead, there's two versions here of Road America. There's the nice, sunny, blue skies, few clouds, but a much more welcoming Road America. And then you've got kind of this cobweb afternoon look, a little bit dreary, not as visually pleasing. I know that's some of the running jokes associated with Forza Motorsport 7. Is it whether it's done so for the sake of trying to be dramatic or whatever the case may be, some of these tracks, they got a very gloomy side to them. And I'm not talking about like the rain side, because then you've got weather. Then you understand why there are clouds out there. But then some of these tracks, man, it's just like, oh, they should have just called off this race for a better day. And so the organizers are going ahead, and I think they might be waiting for a driver or two to hop on in here, claim their spot before they go out for qualifying, because, yes, it will be a long qualifying session here at Road America. And now Slow Motion Fire giving us the heads up that we are going to be underway, ready to go. 3 laps, 1 standing start, 2 flying. What's up there, Dino Dado? And Ito the Beast with the follow. Thank you there very much, Ito. Dino Dado, I can't say it enough, folks. If you guys aren't following him on Twitch, be sure to do so. A lot of great racing content coming from him. Does Dirt 2 I've seen recently. Or excuse me, Dirt Rally. Or is it called Dirt 2 or is it Dirt Rally 2.0? I can't remember which one it's called, what the official formal title is. And then Gran Turismo Sport. Forza Motorsport, of course. Dirt Rally 2.0. Okay, I thought it was something like that. And here we are watching SFM Darkster. Craytrim gets on by. Craytrim's like, hey, give me that open space. I don't want to see anybody out in front of me. So Craytrim would be happy to take that spot, sitting currently 4th on the leaderboard with 81 points. Sits him 19 back behind the leader, AMS Unicon, at the top of the 100. Down out of turn number 4, if you call it, into the Marine sweep here for turn 5. The left-hander, always a tricky one, because as you see there, Craytrim locking up the brakes a little bit, some tire smoke, and that brings him off the pace a little bit as Darkser closes back in. Obviously, as we see right here, the vehicles are ghosted. That allows everybody to qualify at the same time, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing here in the virtual world of motorsport. Simultaneous qualifying. Let's go to AMS Huracan, or Huracan, for those who just don't even want to attempt it. I know my pronunciation is not great, but I'm going to at least try. And then one of these days, Huracan's going to send me a message and just say, hey, dude, it's just Huracan, man. That's what I go by. And right now, a blank canvas on that car has opted for no sponsorship or livery decals whatsoever, just the number board plastered on the side. Ito the Beast says, how do you enable a qualifying lap? So what you do in Forza Motorsport 7 for qualifying is you set it for however many laps you want to have for qualifying. In this case, Slow Motion Fire, the organizer, opts for 3, which means you have just 2 flying laps to get your quickest time. And then you use the system within Forza Motorsport in the next race to say, hey, I want to order them based on best lap time from the previous race. That's not always a perfect science, especially when you're going from a non-FF or a non-Forza race regulations event, like what Slow Motion Fire, I think, is running here for qualifying, into a... Or actually, I think I might have it backwards. This is a FRR event, and then when we go into the race, it's a non-FRR. I might have that backwards. But anyway, the conversion is not so simple, so then you have to do a little bit of manual entry going into your actual race coming out of qualifying. So just play with the system a little bit, and hopefully maybe with the next motorsport iteration, the next motorsport title, the experience, whatever it is going to be. I know Chris Sasaki has used the term motorsport experience, suggesting that maybe there's going to be a change in the naming convention. Why does that camera look to the side there? I'm not sure why it does that. Maybe we'll have a little bit more organizer-friendly features. Chris Sasaki has actually even responded on Twitter to some race organizers, and I think it was specific to Tora about, hey, you know, as things move along in development and they get closer to launch, well, obviously closer to launch, but as they get on the back end of the development time before they go into testing, they, at least the way Chris made it sound, like they were going to work with some of the event organizers to make sure that the way things are set up to have custom lobbies is friendly, and it makes sense, and it allows you to do some of the things that organizers want to do that they're currently doing here today that they kind of have to do a little workaround, or things they can't even possibly do here today that they would love to do in the future. As we watch now, DTR Maverick fourth currently with the fourth quickest time. It's AMS Udakan who has the top time at a 2:34.269, and that is the standing start. So yes, this one will take a little bit, 2.5 minutes per lap. That should come down a little bit here on the flying lap, maybe around 2:29, 27. Flip mode, what's going on there? He says, yeah, just 2 clicks on your level or 1 down click on the game. Yeah, so, yeah, on the audio. Gotcha. I noticed last week that my audio seemed to be off on the game sound. It wasn't very high, and so I wanted to change that up here this week, and apparently it's not working in my favor this time. So there we go. Let's try that. Let me know how that sounds. As we see DTR Maverick now coming out of turn 14 up the hill past pit lane entry off to the right-hand side and underneath the Verizon Bridge. Civic Element, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And DWM Frog. Test. Can you guys hear me pretty good? It was probably the gain that was way too high. Balance seems good now. Awesome. Carbon now with the quickest time at a 2:31.290. Let's go to Fear the Fun, who is 5th overall on the leaderboard. 10th currently in qualifying. Flip Mode says there are a few close cams on this track. Yeah, man, there's so much that we hope to be better in the next Forza title, and Fear the Fun, unfortunately, has nothing to make of this lap here. Is just going to have to get some style points, which isn't going to count for anything. Brings it back out onto the racing surface and hopefully has a better time on lap number 2. Let's go to Cratrium. Top speed Hoot Wheels. Hoot says H-Max. Let's see, who else do we have here? Necromancer. Thank you for the follow. ZX Saturn with the follow. Welcome. Good evening to you there, Brian. I believe we had 19 drivers start qualifying. We'll see if a few more enter onto the back end of the pack to try to fill out this grid. We had 2 full grids in week number 1 for both races. Unfortunately, both races had a few drivers disconnect. And the worst one being the Yachts Marina track, where we had, I think, 4 or maybe even 5 drivers disconnect, to include SFM Darkster, who was having a great run, and Hoot Wheels, who was having one hoot of a run out there before she got disconnected. All right, Udakan at a 2:39.74. I thought maybe be able to get down to 2:29, 2:27 was maybe a bit ambitious, but 2:30 it is. Carbon in second, Corbin is third, Darkser fourth, Cratrium and Born as Ghost will be on row number 3. Maverick and IPR Wolf, and this is all contingent on no changes here in the last segment of the track, as a few drivers have yet to cross the line. Let's go back to it's going to be Slow Motion Fire coming up the hill, and weirdly the camera is angled toward the left there as it hops on board here with the Pontiac Solstice. Redacted as heck. I love that name. Redacted as heck with the follow. Darks are saying, I'll take the fourth quickest without any practice. Moment now, the lobby will kick us back, and we will take a look at the previous race results, or these qualifying results, and we'll have to make out who is where, as unfortunately we don't get to see it in any sort of organized order. Hootwell saying, I'm ready for this. Top 10. She's calling it, calling her shots. And here we go. SFM Darkster with a 2:31.471. Cratrim with a 2:31.830. Corbin with a 2:31.412. A little bit of a broken record here through the first 4. Carbon with a 2:31.290. I think that's good for the opposite side of the pole sitter, row number 1. Hootwills with a 2:33.357. DTR Maverick 2:32. Born as Ghost with a 2:32.162. Chaos Fox with a 2:34. 2:35 goes to Lamborghini, who's shown up for the first time here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. Fear the Fun with a 2:33.7. Slipstream with a 2:35.5. DOR Hocus with a 2:33.081. AMS Udakan with a 2:38.06, which will be good for the pole spot unless anybody else has happened to break that mark. I don't see anybody as I look down. 2:32.432 for IPR Wolf. Graham with a 2:41. A couple of dirty laps there for LMP Phantom and Joe Beardy. They'll be on the back end of the train here for the start of the race out at Road America. Slow Motion Fire with a 2:34.390 and a 2:45.229 for Modern Weapon. And I turned it on over to the driver's spotlight. Is anybody there? Nobody's there? Oh my gosh, you guys are, the drivers are super quiet here tonight. Very quiet. But hey, I'm glad at least you all have tuned in. Virtual Auto Sports here live on Twitch TV as we roll into week number 2 of the Forza Spec Racing Series, a series that has already started off on the right foot times 100. It's been a start like none other. We've never had such exciting and close racing in week number 1 as we had there in a week ago. And you can watch that race back in its entirety, or you can move it around, slide it forward, or rewind, whatever you want to do. They're on demand, twitch.tv/virtual autosports. Go to the video tab and look for the highlights section. If you go to the past broadcasts, you'll see the broadcast in its entirety. But what will remain up there forever will be the highlight version. So go to the highlight section, and I've even trimmed up the front so that you get right into the Pit Pass pre-race show. Grazie, ragazzi, AMS Storm saying. Got him, Chaos Fox. Let's see. That's pole position. Pole position, grande forza, AMS Udakan says. As we're going to go ahead with the full-on Italian lingo here, for sure. All right, there we go. We've got Grim. Grim, who's going to join us here in the driver's spotlight. If I can get Grim's name to drop into the private interview section. There we go, Grim. How's it going? I'm taking a look here at the board coming out of qualifying at 2:41.061. That's going to put you a little bit toward the back end of the pack, but are you okay with that?
Yeah. I just need to get used to this car, honestly. I feel like I've been having some troubles with it, but I've started tuning a little bit also. I think that's helping a lot.
A little bit of tuning coming out of week number 1. You come out of week number 1 with 20 points, and that puts you in 20th position. How appropriate, right there behind Mega Chen and Slow Motion Fire. Slow Motion Fire not having a good run there in week number 1, but an opportunity here. Now that you've adjusted the car a little bit, you can maybe put week 1 in the past and maybe make the most out of 2 through 5 and make those your championship points. Is that kind of your approach here tonight?
Yeah, my main goal for the season is winning by attrition, because we'll have people drop out just because of connectivity issues or whatever, and I just hope that my internet holds on long enough for me to rack up those extra points.
Win through attrition. How ambitious that goal is. Well, we did have a couple of several disconnects there in week number 1. Hopefully those will go away. I know for your case, you're saying you would rather have them stay in. What do you think of the Pontiac Solstice GXP?
It's not the Nissan.
It's not. No, it's not the Nissan R31. That's for sure.
The more I drive this car, the more and more I miss the Nissan, honestly. I love that car a lot. And this one, I don't know, I just can't get the hang of it. It's not steering the right way for me. Or I'm sure it's steering fine, I just don't know how to drive it. But, you know.
Yeah, perhaps. I know a couple of drivers, they said that this car has got a little bit more grip than they anticipated, so they had to work around that. Obviously, sometimes too much grip can work against you, as you want to take the right angle through the corners and not necessarily be understeering or oversteering. But here we go into week number 2, Road America. You got a lot of room to kind of stretch out, sprawl out your arms and legs, so to speak, with this car. So does that make you feel more comfortable, or are you kind of a fan of those tighter, more congested tracks?
I like the tighter tracks just because there's more room for error. I feel like I'm pretty good at avoiding wrecks, so if there's ever a collision, it's easier for me to just kind of sneak around there. Tracks like this, where it's a bit more spread out, if you come out of the turn the wrong way onto a straightaway, then you just lose a whole bunch of speed, I've noticed, on this one, or this car.
That's one of the things that we pointed out is that, if you make a mistake out here in this C500 Pontiac Solstice, it takes a little bit to get back up to speed, and that puts you back quite a bit. Here we are. I don't know what your situation is, but a lot of folks, as we are isolated in our homes, what's a movie that you might recommend to our watchers here, our fans here at Twitch TV, whether it be racing or something that will help pass the time, a couple of hours or so?
Absolutely Baby Driver. It's my favorite movie of all time, but there's so much going on in that movie. You can watch it multiple times in a row and always pick up on something, whether it's the way the music was laid out, or if it's the way it's framed. Just there's always something to pick apart. I've seen that movie 10 times, and I'm still seeing new stuff every time I watch it.
I'm so glad you said that, because I have been just maybe I'm being a cheapskate or whatever, but I've been waiting for that thing to come out on Amazon Prime or Netflix or whatever the case. It hasn't. I might just have to make the leap and say, hey, let's go ahead and get that one ordered up. It looks like a hoot, and I'll be sure to check it out. Hey, Grim, great chatting with you. Best of luck out here in the Road America circuit for 12 laps, and we'll see you at the finish line.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, we're going to try to throw in some other questions here. I know we're in a weird state in the world, and so maybe some ideas, some tips, some pointers, some things that maybe you haven't thought about of what you can do at home to pass the time when you're not either working from home or if you're waiting to get back to work, which I know unfortunately is the case for so many people. But obviously there's probably only so much gaming that you could possibly do before you're like, all right, give me something else. Let me do something else. It looks like a hoot. Yeah, I know. With Hoot Wheels Now Racing, like that word just comes to my mind when I start thinking about ways to describe stuff that looks interesting or fun. Let's see. Jimmy T, 1996. Pardon me. Thank you very much for the follow, and there we go. Sorry, we've got the launch countdown, and I've got like hiccups. And Slow Motion Fire, sure enough, is going to tell us there in the pit lane that we are good to go. And so we'll go ahead and put our camera on Carbon, who has qualified opposite of Udakan there on row number 1. Corbin and Dark Sir, row 2. Cratrim and Born as Ghost there in 3. Then 4 is Maverick and IPR Wolf. Then you've got Hocus, Hoot Wheels, Fear the Fun, Chaos Fox, Slow Motion Fire, Lamborghini, look out for that name. We'll see how well Lamborghini does here in her or his first appearance in the Forza Spec Racing Series. Then Slipstream, Grim, Modern Weapon, Phantom, Joe Beardy, and Derek, who's going to be racing here tonight. I don't think Derek got in for qualifying, so we'll be at the very back of the pack. Let's go ahead and throw some audio on, and hopefully the audio will be all mixed correctly this time around as opposed to what we had there in the qualifying session. And folks, again, welcome. Thank you very much for tuning in. Virtual Autosports here on Twitch TV. All lined up on the grid. As soon as Udakan shows the slightest bit of movement, everybody else can depart. Kick the tires and light the fires. Week number 2 of Season 33 in the Forza Spec Racing Series is underway. And there goes Udakan blaring, just blowing away the competition like the true hurricane that he has shown coming out of week number 1 with both the wins. Followed back behind him, that is not going to be Carbon. That's Corbin who moves up to 2nd position. Carbon has fallen back to 3rd. Darkser in 4th. Cratrium, Born as Ghost, IPR Wolf, Hoot Wheels already up 2 spots to 8th. Maverick in 9th. Fear the Fun in 10th as they come out of turn number 3. Down toward the Moraine Sweep underneath the Sargento Cheese Bridge with the artificial big rig up there as they look down the straightaway. Now back toward the pack as the headlamps come beaming at us. All 20, I think it was 20 drivers here in the mix as Derek joined last minute. Here comes Carbon. They're going to run a little bit wide up under that rumble area there. It's a little bit of a textured concrete coming out of turn number 5. Now out of 6 toward Hurry Downs after turn 7. And there you go. They get that nice little flying view. We'll get that all throughout the broadcast here. Carbon there in 3rd after starting on the front row. Actually, yeah, nope, Carbon is still in 3rd. Looked like Darkser had maybe found a way around. Not the case. Darkser, Cratrium, now through the carousel. Saturn saying, I've been revisiting Gran Turismo 2. That's a pretty good one. I know that's high on people's list in terms of the Gran Turismo games. I'm very much a fan of the 4s. And actually, we've got a couple of cars off. Who was that? We'll go ahead and get the Virtual Autosport instant replay going. I see Darkser still there in 4th. Born as Ghost in 5th. Cratrim, it appears, is the one who went off the circuit there and was followed by somebody else. I didn't quite catch who it was. Go to that Virtual Autosport rewind. Coming through the Kettle Bottom section up to Canada Corner there on the replay. And Carbon now through the final right-hander, turn number 14 here at Road America. And then up the hill they'll go for the conclusion of lap number 1 of 12. Running through the field, it is Udakan. Corbin in 2nd, Carbon in 3rd, Darkser, Born as Ghost, Cratrium. Hoot Wheels is now up another spot to 7th. IPR Wolf in 8th. Fear the Fun is 9th from 10th. DTR Maverick drops back into that 10th position with DOR Hocus in 11th. Slow Motion Fire is 12th. Slipstream, Modern Weapon, Joe Beardy, Chaos Fox, Phantom, Lamborghini, and Derek are 13th through 19th, and Grim in 20th. We're hanging out here with Carbon, who's right there on the backside of Corbin as they come out of turn 3 here for the 2nd time today. Hoot Wheels with the whole entourage here, says AMS Storm. Yeah, it's been the case for like the last 3 or 4 broadcasts of the Forza Spec Racing Series. She's got the gang all together and says, hey, come out here, cheer me on. Support your local virtual racetrack, right? You always walk out of raceways that, more so the local tracks that say, thank you for supporting your local racetrack. Well, thanks for supporting the local, so to speak, virtual raceway here, Virtual Autosports. And we are still riding on board here with Carbon, who's trying to get back up into 2nd position. Corbin was able to sneak past him there off the start-finish line from the beginning of this race. Had him beat through turn number 1, and now here comes on the inside Carbon. Let's see if he's going to be able to make it stick with Corbin on the outside. A little bit of sparks there, and Carbon is going to reclaim 2nd as he closes the door They're riding high out of turn 10. Now down bend up to the kink, turn 13. Make that 14. Into Kettle Bottoms once again. Last time through here we saw, I believe that was Craytrim off into the dirt last time through. Carbon and Corbin really should work together here and try to close in on Udakan, says AMS Storm. I agree. I mean, they've got to. Too much competition against yourselves, and you're just going to give Udakan all the time in the world to start to depart and make this his own race all by himself, which was the case in race number 1 out at Yas Marina. Just took off, hoping to put an end to that here. Otherwise, it'll be back to back to back in week number 1. Up the hill they go. Chugging away here, 265 horsepower. Pontiac Solstice JXP. This is the 2009 model, which is just before Pontiac went defunct in 2010. And there goes Udakan off into the grass for quite a while. Not just touching it, but actually riding. 2 wheels into the grass, 2 wheels on the tarmac. Read that Briggs and Stratton sign. They'll go. Darks are still sitting back there in 4th position, and we'll try to get back a little bit further for some more of the competition, just seeing how things are going to go here 2nd and 3rd, especially with Udakan, who's now either taunting the rest of the drivers or is completely distracted out there. Not entirely sure what's going on. Solar saying probably sending a message on Discord to Storm. Yeah, Udakan's probably saying, wait, hold on. What are you talking about? What do you mean that Corbin and Carbon should work together? You're supposed to be on my team, my side. Well, if he keeps getting either distracted or just purposefully taunting the rest of the field, he'll have 2nd, 3rd, and 4th on his back bumper in no time as they head down the hurry down section up to turn number 8. AMS Storm confirming that it's not true. He's not typing him a message. Okay. Glad we were able to confirm that. Into the carousel for the 3rd time in 12 laps here. That 13th lap will just be a cool down, so don't pay any attention to it. Out underneath the Continental Tire Bridge, and there you see this little alien there on the front of Carbon's car. Now AMS Udakan is going to go off track. And so for the 2nd time here in race number 3 of season 33, and with that, Carbon's actually going to make a run for him on the outside into Canada Corner. Just not going to be able to make it happen there as Udakan had the inside line. Not entirely sure what's going on here. He prefers to have a carrot to chase. And you think Udakan is just bored, says Solar. Well, you just never know. You think, and I'm not saying this is Solar's perspective on what Udakan's doing, but you just never know. Like, your first 2 races, you might have been able to win handily, but after that, drivers have had a chance to kind of tune their cars, make some adjustments. Like, I'm looking at SFM Darkstar right now, who had a great run out at Yas Marina South Circuit and is not far behind at this point. And then, of course, you've got Corbin and Carbon. They're in 3rd and 2nd, respectively. Let's go back to Darkstar here in 4th position. Actually, we've got the camera here on Corbin. Let's look a little bit further back with IPR Wolf, who is in 8th position, now running behind Hoot Wheels, as you see Hoot Wheels' car drive off there. The purple and green. And IPR Wolf in the yellow. Down Marine Sweep into turn number 5. 4.05 mile circuit is what they opted for. Not just one of the shorter tracks here at Road America, but the whole shebang. Hence the reason we've only got 12 laps in this one, and then we'll head out to the Top Gear West reverse circuit for a total of 50 laps. Back up to Corbin in 3rd. And there goes Carbon making a move once again around Udakan here through the carousel. If there's one area where I wouldn't personally dare to pass, it's through the carousel. I'm not as skilled as these three drivers you see up here in the podium positions right now, and that's why they're able to make it happen. Udakan dropping back to second position. That puts Corvid still in third, but now has a new bumper to look at, that plain white there of Udakan's car, who I believe Udakan actually had a paint scheme last time, and now he's going to go to the inside and makes a nice, clean move there on Carbon. Maybe Udakan's just going for the pass of the race. He's just like, hey, let me drop back a spot so then I can try to make a cool pass. And a cool pass it was as we take a look at it on our Virtual Autosports Rewind. And there goes Carbon into the backside there of Corbin. That's going to put him out wide through turn 14. He'll drop back to at least fourth behind Darkser, who will now move up a spot. And up the hill they go. Darkser in that Martini Solstice. Past the start-finish line from the beginning of lap number 5. And so behind Corbin, it's Darkser, Carbon, Cratrian, Born as Ghost, Hoot Wheels, still in 7th at this point. IPR Wolf in 8th, Fear the Fun in 9th, Maverick in 10th, Hocus, Phantom, Slipstream, Beardy, Chaos Fox, Modern Weapon, Lamborghini, Derek, and Grim make up the back 10, and we lost Slow Motion Fire, the organizer of the race, has DNF'd here out at Road America, race number 3, and it has just not been a good week, a good couple of weeks for Slow Motion Fire here in the Pontiac Solstice. So we'll see what Carbon's going to be able to do now that Carbon has fallen back. Corbin with Darkser on the outside. Look at Darkser. How daring is he? The sun gleaming off that carbon fiber Martini car. And it's not real carbon fiber. He doesn't have any advantage in terms of weight. It's artificial with the scheme, the paint scheme, but what a great move through, or at least an attempt out of turn 6. Had Darkser. Now Udakan a good 3.5 car lengths out in front in P1 position once again, or P1 once again. Let's go to Hoot Wheels in 7th, as she is now tracking down P6 of Born as Ghost. Born as Ghost having a great run at this point in the race, which would do wonders for him. Currently 12th, tied with Chaos Fox with 44 points coming out of week number 1. And again, with the drop rule in effect, perhaps week 1 was just, hey, that's no good. That was garbage. First time in the car, at least for an official race. I'm going to put that one behind me. Well, you've got 4 weeks to make it happen. And in that final race, race number 9, it's double the points. So you've got to be especially good in that grand finale race. And here comes Hoot Wheels. A couple wheels off into the dirt, kicking up the dirt out turn 14, which made things a little nerve-wracking. Thought she was going to fly off into the grass, was able to save it on the runoff area, and is tracking Born as Ghost. And here in the next 2 or 3 corners, will probably be looking to make a pass. IPR Wolf still hanging out there in 8th position. Maverick and Fear the Fun, 9th and 10th. Going back to Carbon in 4th, who hasn't been able to get back around Darkser for a podium spot. And look at that. Look how close 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are, with Cratrim not far behind. Cratrim, who's trying to recover after a bit of an incident earlier on himself. And they're going to go 2 wide here into turn number 5 is Carbon and Darkser. Make that Corbin and Darkser. Corbin on the outside, and actually, yeah, Darkser was trying to bring his car back out to line up for the apex, and Carbon said, no, buddy, I'm here. You can't have this spot. This is my line. And now Darkser is going to go 3 wheels off through turn number 7. And into hurry downs they'll go. And And yes, as long as this continues, Udacon's just going to see these cars fade into the distance there in his rearview mirror. And Cratrim back there. Cratrim sitting a good 2.5 cars back, maybe just waiting for somebody to make a mistake. There goes Darkser, who's going to go ahead and get 3 more wheels off again, coming out of the kink. Now into Kettle Bottoms. Carbon, Darkser, side by side into turn number 12, Canada corner. It's going to be Carbon who's got the run on him. Now here comes Darkser with a little switchback. And Carbon says, not so fast. I got you. So back to 4th goes Darkser. Carbon to 3rd. And now into turn 14, that final right-hander here on lap number 6. There will be a new lobby for race 2. Gotcha. 10-4 slow motion. And now Corvid catching back up with Udacon, who I didn't notice if, again, there was some strategic slowdown by Udacon, who some are suggesting is just trying to make it interesting for us. Udacon there is saying in the pit lane chat, 2 for 2, meaning 2 races in week 1 and 2 won. Can he do it? I know there's 4 drivers back behind him who would prefer that not be the case. Corbett is just all over, looking left, then looking right. Let's ride on board with Carbon. See what that battle looks like from his perspective. Delboy, or Delby, 79, thank you for the follow. Thanks for tuning in to Virtual Auto Sports. I'm Dustin Moore. I'm Dustin Moore. That's me. That's my name. I was about to be like, wait, no, my name's The Shadow Edge, but that's my Xbox gamer tag. Dustin Moore is my name, and I appreciate y'all tuning in here on a Tuesday evening, or perhaps it's a Wednesday morning for you if you're across the pond. Darkser has reclaimed now 3rd position with Carbon dropping back. Back to Hoot Wheels in 7th. T-Phrase with a boom, boom, boom. Boom. Hoot Wheels, who admitted they're out of race number 2, just got a little bit too anxious, a bit too eager, and that might be the case here. She was much closer to Born as Ghost, but now Born as Ghost with a good 2 or 3 second separation from 7th, or make that 6th, back to 7th. And so we'll now go to Cratrim in 5th position. Up the hill underneath the Corvette signage into turn number 6. 4.05 miles. Just 12 laps they'll be running here. A 2:30, almost a sub 2:30, was the top time in qualifying. That came by way of Udakan, who had Carbon second in qualifying. Now Carbon has done a little bit of flip-flopping from second on back to fourth, now in third. And Grimm is going to go ahead and park it off the carousel there, allowing the lead pack of cars to get on by. Wise decision. We talked to Grimm before the race got going here tonight. Some smoke seen from near turn 2. Wonder what's going on in the barbecue, or what's on the barbecue. Yeah, I know. All the reason more for smell-o-vision. I know. There's been like an incessant need for smell-o-vision for many decades. People have clamored for it, right? Maybe not. But can you imagine a little bit of smell of racing and then the barbecue there off to the side of the track? Out here at Elkhart, the virtual world of Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin at Road America. Road America at Elkhart Lake. Up the hill they'll go underneath the Verizon signage again. And begin lap number 9. 4 to go here in this 12-lap race. Starting to thin it out here a little bit, first through fifth. So let's look further back. Born as Ghost riding by himself. Hoot Wheels in 7th. Maverick in 8th. IPR Wolf has dropped back a spot to 9th. Phantom is in 10th. Fear the Fun not doing so hot here. And Slipstream in 12th. Hocus in 13th. Joe Beardy, Chaos Fox, Modern Weapon are 14th through 16th. Lamborghini, first appearance here in the Forza Spec Racing Series in 17th. Same goes for Garrett. And Grimm in 19th position. Slow Motion Fire, our DNF earlier on. Let's go to Hocus in 13th, back behind Slipstream. And look at that, Hocus in a Post-it note car, either because so much of the action was up toward the front last week that we didn't see this Post-it note car, or this is a new livery for Hocus, but what a vibrant one. And here comes Fear the Fun back onto the track, and Fear the Fun not mindful of the track or the traffic on the circuit, the racing line, so brings it right back up onto the side of Slipstream's door panel. Slipstream in the Valvoline car was able to wrestle him for position and holds on to 11th, at least for now. Fear the Fun was maybe thinking that, hey, you know, people go wide coming out of turn 5 here. Give me a little bit of space. And Slipstream was having none of it. Fear the Fun in the Hypermax GXP. T-Phrase, I'm going to have to come separate these two. They are teammates. Well, sometimes that's the most fun, and there goes Fear the Fun now out of the kink, and where is he? Did he? Yeah, he has brought it back out on the track and was getting awfully close there to the rear left quarter panel of Slipstream, or excuse me, Hocus. Fear the Fun maybe just a little too wired right now, probably thinking, hey, I should be a lot further up. He's 5th overall on the leaderboard coming out of week number 1, but to find himself currently running in 12th, not ideal. And now back up to IPR Wolf, who has returned, and actually it's Hoot Wheels who has rejoined IPR Wolf by falling back a spot, allowing Maverick to move up to 7th. Maverick showing up for the first time in the Forza Spec Racing Series with season 33. That's what the orange number plates are, and then the green number plates indicate those drivers who have raced at least one other time, one other season in the Forza Spec Racing Series. Grouping of 3 or 4 here from 2nd on back to 5th has gotten a little bit closer once again, so we'll return to that action. Darks are in 4th, Carbon in 3rd. Here they go into turn number 6. An interesting quarter because of the camber in that particular turn is unlike any other turn here out at Road America. Now here comes Darkster. He's going to line it up on the outside for turn number 8 out of Hurry Downs. heading toward that Johnsonville Brat sign. Slow motion fires saying good battle here, and unfortunately slow motion looking on from the sidelines in this race now. And not too far behind, closing in sixth position is Born as Ghost. This is one heck of a showing by Born as Ghost, and if he can close that gap here in the remaining 2 laps, this will be it's going to be an exciting finish either way. But Born as Ghost can add another element to the mix here. Looking to put 6 cars here within about a matter of 1 or 2 seconds from first to 6th. Carbon darts toward the pit lane wall there as he tries to take away the slipstream from Darkser, who's looking to maximize that draft. Down the front straightaway here at Road America. And now into turn number 1, which hasn't been as disastrous as you may have come to see in other races. It's actually been quite good, and of course that could be that might be attributed to the C500 nature of this car. So you've got low horsepower, you're not taking a whole heck of a lot of speed into that corner, and car pretty good at braking as well, so you're able to bring it into a slow enough entry for the corner to carry it through without having to run wide. They only added 5 horsepower. This might be the one car that they've run here in the Forza Spec Racing Series where they put the least amount of extra oomph into the motor. And now Corbett showing P1 over his car there with the gamer tag, and sure enough, he's got it by just a fender. Udacon's going to run side by side with him down Hurry Downs into turn number 8. Going to test that driving metal, and look at this, Darkser is going to make it interesting. He's going to get into the mix now as he'll run to the outside now, bring it back to the inside line because he sees that Carbon or Corbett is not going to be able to have well, it looked like he wasn't going to be able to have a good run on there, but he does hold on to it, and they remain side by side into the kink, and this is where it gets iffy. Through the kink, and sure enough, there goes Corbett, who's going to kick out and drop back 3 spots. And look at that, there goes Carbon now. Or excuse me, that's going to be Creature. No, that was Carbon. To the inside there of Darkser through Canada Corner. So we've got Creature and Corvid. Darkser and Carbon. And, oh no, there goes Corbin. Corbin into the side of Cratrum's car. Cratrum was able to save it. Oh, it's getting dicey back here. And the white flag flies. Final lap here. Race number 3 of season 33 out at Road America. 4.05 miles in the 265 horsepower Pontiac Solstice GXP. Somebody trying to put an end to Udacon's early run here. This one, he's got 2 wins from week number 1, trying to make it back to back to back. Not if any of these 5 drivers have anything to say about it, but they're going to have to make a strong case here in the remaining 3/4 of a lap, because Udacon, if he can get back out there in front and hold on to it, hey, that's a difficult one to get around. Let's go there to second place of Carbon. And Carbon qualified in 2nd position. That's where he finds his car right now with SFM Darkser. Darkser showing remarkable pace in this race, just as he had there in week number 1 before it went all awry with connection issues. And now Darkser, as soon as I say that, the commentator curse strikes. He goes off the grass out of turn number 6, brings it back in for turn 7, and holds on to third for right now. Corvid, though, is going to try to make a pass as we continue to keep our camera here on Carbon, Udakan. There they go. Speedville, Johnsonville sign into the carousel, turn 9 and 10. Mike, 45, 845, thank you for the follow, and saying paddles out for Hoot. And we'll try to get our camera back here, but we've got to keep it right here as we've got about half lap remaining in this one. And there goes Carbon, a little squirrely through the kink, able to hold on to it. Nobody's gone plowing into that wall. We have seen a couple cars scrape it going into the grass, but nobody has just destroyed their car, and that's a good thing. Let's see, Carbon's got 3 corners remaining here. It's going to be turn 13 of Bill Mitchell Bend after coming out of Canada corner, then turn 14, that final right-hander. And at this juncture, it looks like Udakan in a great position unless he spoils it here in the final turn. Should be good for a 3-time P1 finish in season 33. Second looks to go to Carbon. Darkser in third. Corvid in fourth. They're in single file formation. Cratrim in fifth. Born as Ghost in sixth. Let's go to Hoot Wheels, and actually let's go to IPR Wolf, who's behind Hoot Wheels in ninth position, trying to claim eighth. Is just not going to have the ump to make it happen. IPR Wolf in ninth, Hoot Wheels in eighth, Born as Ghost in seventh, Phantom is going to come across in 10th, Slipstream in 11th, Fear the Fun is 12th, Hocus in 13th, Joe Beardy in 14th, Chaos Fox is 15th. Let's go to Lamborghini in 16th position. Good entry and exit there by Lamborghini, but just not going to be able to get around Chaos Fox for another position, so that's how those two will finish up. Modern Weapon in 17th, Derek in 18th, and Grim in 19th. Slow Motion Fire getting the DNF. Folks, we're going to run a 180-second, that's a 3-minute ad block here. For those of you who have subscribed, thank you very much for your support. You will see no ads. We'll keep the action on the screen here for you, and whatever action there is. You're not going to miss anything, so for those of you who do get ads, know that we won't be into qualifying. We won't be into the next race yet. Don't worry. As a matter of fact, we're running these ads so that if anybody comes back for race number 2 or happens to join us for the first time in race number 2, they don't have any pre-roll ads, and they get right to the action. You're watching Forza Spec Racing Series, season number 33, week number 2, the back half of week 2. Coming up next, heading out to the Top Gear West Reverse. And for those of you who are not getting any ads right now, we're just hanging tight here as the organizers go ahead and take note of where everybody has finished here in race number 3. Get things ready for race number 2 of the night, race 4 on the season schedule. And the schedule, as a matter of fact, looks a little bit, not a little bit, looks a lot of it like this. As Road America is now chalked off the list. Top Gear West Circuit, and that's the West Reverse, I do believe. Let me double check. It is West Circuit Reverse. 50 laps around that one with only fuel and tire damage. There will be no simulated mechanical or aero damage to the vehicle since there's no pit lane to go into. And that'll conclude things here for tonight before we head out to week number 3, which should be a brilliant week with Road Atlanta full. That's going to be a fantastic track for these cars. The right amount of space, the right amount of speed, and then, of course, you get the very scary final right-hander heading back to the line as inevitably one driver is going to find themselves in the tire wall for that one. Then the Nürburgring Nordschleife, which you want to talk about some people finding themselves into the wall. We might have a lot of that happening in that run, 4 laps around the Green Hell. April 21st, 2 weeks from tonight, Silverstone International for 22 laps. Then the Virginia Raceway Full Circuit there for 14. And then things will come to a head out at Prague for 69 laps. Welcome back, Twitch TV here live with Virtual Auto Sports in the Forza Spec Racing Series season number 33. Just wrapped up race number 3 of the season, heading into race 4, which you see the schedule right there. And that means we've got next on tap, Top Gear West. We'll have the same 3 laps of qualifying around the 0.8 of a mile track. So whereas we had a 2.5-minute qualifying session here, we're going to have sub 1 minute qualifying out at Top Gear. So that'll go quickly. And then 50 laps, a lot of laps that they'll be churning. So while it will be quick in terms of laps, it'll be about the same amount of distance as any one of these other races before we head off into week 3, 4, and then conclude things 3 weeks from tonight out at Prague Short for 69 laps on April 28th. Looking over to the driver interview queue, and we've got SFF Darkser, who you had a great appearance there in week number 1. Unfortunately, the disconnection woes, the gremlins struck and took you out there, but you really showed some great pace here in week number 2, starting at Road America. Are you pretty happy with it? I know you would rather come out on top in this one and put the end to Udacon's streak, but not bad.
Well, to quote the great Maximus Aurelius, are you not entertained? Is this not what you came to see?
oh, that's what we're doing. We're just doing entertainment racing right now.
No, that was a really good fight. I enjoyed that way too much.
It was, and Carbon, who started out opposite a pole on the front row, had dropped back a number of times back to 4th, and then Corvid, Carbon, you're shuffling quite a bit. So a lot of activity there, even some bumping of the door panels. But hey, rubbing's racing, right?
Yeah, within reason. I think we kept it pretty friendly, the amount of bumping that may or may not have occurred.
Interesting dynamic here in week number 2. We go from the full 4.05 mile circuit of Road America. Now we go out to the Top Gear test track, the West Reverse. I don't know. Tell me what, if anything, any adjustments you got to make for that race. It seems a little unorthodox to have such a drastic change.
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, Dustin, I have done exactly 0 practice laps for this week, so I have absolutely no idea.
Of course.
My guess is that you should probably make some sort of a gearing adjustment with the final drive, but as to what that number would be, I honestly couldn't tell you.
Okay. Well, and maybe not wanting to share, although who knows? It might be all in for fun, so it wouldn't hurt sharing. Currently find yourself 10th overall, back behind Big Ben, who's not racing here tonight. Maybe this will be a drop week, or maybe just won't be able to compete for the rest of the season, but hoping to find yourself maybe top 8, perhaps even top 5 here come week 3?
Yeah, I've got some redemption to do. The last season I did was that Formula Mazda, where I either podiumed or disconnected from every race, so we'll see what happens here this time.
And tell us what happens, what dynamic is at play in the world of Forza Motorsport where you tell the drivers, all right, we're heading out to a track where there's no pit lane, and therefore there's no vehicle damage. The only thing that's going to happen are your tires are going to deplete a little bit, your fuel is going to drain out a little bit. Have you seen, does that make people a little bit more willing to get crazy here when damage is turned off?
Well, when there's less risk, there is naturally a little bit more less inhibitions in the way. People will be a little more elbows out. But I still think that the majority of the racing for this upcoming race is still going to be very respectful.
Yeah. It should be. I'm thinking there might be a little bit more as far as, hey, I could give you a little nudge. It's not going to hurt you that much. We're talking with Darkser here in the driver's spotlight, getting ready for qualifying out at Top Gear for race number 4 of week 2. Well, race number 2 of week 2, race 4 on the schedule. What are you doing to pass your time? And I don't know what, obviously I'm not going to ask and pry into everybody's day-to-day life, but what are you doing to help pass the days here in this weird era of COVID-19?
Well, luckily for me, I actually got a work from home job, so I've been working from morning until early evening, getting that monies.
Monies, yeah. So if you were work from home before, you're kind of like, well, welcome to my world, everybody else. SFM Darkser, is there any, apart from what we've got going on here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, people might be familiar with your association with Tora, is there anything else out in the landscape of the Forza community or in any one of the other racing titles that has been really exciting that you've watched or that you've kind of take some pointers to maybe take back to Tora and say, hey, let's try to attempt something similar to that?
Well, I will say props to Delta for their retro GTs. That looks like it's been pretty fun from the highlights I've seen. We did that 12 hours of Sebring race that you did the marathon broadcast for, which made its way onto Forza Monthly, which was cool. I didn't know that was going to happen. We got touring cars coming up. I think the details of that will be coming this week.
Ooh.
And, yeah.
So there you go. I thought maybe you would not show your bias and go for like, yeah, there's this other league that, well, of course you did say, I think you threw one of the Delta races out there, series out there. But yeah, definitely a lot going on in the world of Tora. And of course, like you had just mentioned on Forza Monthly yesterday, Turn 10 doing a remarkable kind of a 180 here and really putting the community events in the spotlight. SFM Darkser, thank you very much for your time and, of course, your participation out here on the track in season number 33. You're very much into the thick of it, and we look forward to seeing how things go out here at Top Gear.
Thanks, man. And I'll make sure to watch the broadcast back later tonight.
Yeah, there we go. And as a heads up, to Darkser's point right there, I found out why I was getting issues with getting things queued up for the broadcast, the rerun after the live broadcast. So for those of you who typically like to watch the races back after you do the races, or perhaps maybe you're joining us here late and you want to catch the first race in its entirety and kind of interact with some of the other folks throughout that rerun, you can. Unless there's something else that I'm missing, I should have that very close to right after this broadcast. Yeah, the broadcast will go dark, and then the rerun will play. But I think I figured out what it is, and hopefully we can get that rerun going immediately following this broadcast. I know folks, they love it. I don't understand. Like, you guys could go and queue up the rerun and play it at the same time, but I guess it's the chat element that you guys can go into the chat and have kind of the same interactions that you're having as if it were here live. Sober David, thank you for the follow, or excuse me, not the follow. You've followed for quite some time, but thank you for the host. And Silverstone in the Rain asks Sober David, who's not sober right now. I'm definitely am sober. I just I don't know why silver. I don't know why that was coming to mind. Maybe it was because March 31 is marked out in silver here. But yeah, Silverstone International. It's England, so it's got to be rainy, right? 22 laps out there at the Silverstone International circuit. So not the full track that they run in Formula One. Of course, who's running anything these days? But the shorter international circuit for 22 laps in the rain. And as I take a look at my notes for that week, it'll start out as a moderate rain with 100% certainty. It will be moderate rain to begin that race. Then there's a 40% chance of drizzle, and then the race will conclude with overcast skies. There will be no rain on the back half of that 22-lap race. So that'll be interesting. We have not had a race with precipitation in quite some time. I can't even remember the last rain race we had. Maybe it was back at Sebring? Sebring's the only one that comes to mind right now for me. The only one. All right, here we go. They are getting the lobby going, and it looked like we had a couple of additional names on the roster. Sober David drives everyone home. That's good. That's good. Very important. No intoxicated driving. No inebriated activity behind the wheel. Born as Ghost is going to be the first one off the start-finish line here for qualifying out at the Top Gear test track. And, well, actually, it's Slipstream who's the first one off. Born as Ghost is second. He's going to punt a few cones off the track here and give some folks a bit of an obstacle out there for at least the standing start lap. By the time everybody gets through, they should be able to shed all the cones. We're going to have some interesting camera views here. And we've got some folks who are just waiting. And as a matter of fact, that might be due to the delay because these laps go so quickly. Some of these cars might not have even launched off the track or launched off the start line. Or because it is such a short track, they want to give themselves maybe a little bit of free space, and so they're just kind of waiting for some of these cars to pass. And now as you take a look at the track map down there in the bottom left, you do indeed see that they're pretty evenly spaced. A couple of drivers going side by side. Right now it's Slipstream with a 35.036. Drex actually is the 35.036 now. Jumps in there. And already on the third flying lap is Born as Ghost. Let's go to Slipstream, who has the second quickest time right now. And even Slip having a really good run. A pretty good run, I should say. Maybe not really good. Just falling out of the top 10 in 11th position out at Road America. And that'll be it. Udakan with a 34.816 now. So this is the west side of the track, and this is where because it's reverse, you come out of what would be Chicago, or it is Chicago, kind of. It's because the track has been adapted to what we have here on the west reverse circuit. You don't have a true Chicago corner. Then you go through the follow-through section in the opposite direction, and then the start-finish line is about where the Hammerhead portion of the Top Gear test track is, which the Hammerhead is not a part of this variant. So a lot of what you've come to know about the Top Gear test track, well, you can throw it out the window for this one. You've got just kind of this triangular shape, tri-oval. And we'll go take a look at the times. It happened so quick. So quick. Slipstream with a 35.304. Born as Ghost at a 36.069. Audrex with 35.036. 35.993 for Hoot Wheels. Cratrim with a 34.793. That's the quickest so far that we've read through. IPR Wolf with a 35.575. 35.758 for Derek. Lamborghini with a 36.828. 35.970 for Corbin. 34.739 there for, was that Udakan? I've lost my position, yes. And so that will be quicker than Cratrium's time. Actually, no. No, Cratrium with a 793 to Udakan's 739. And then Graham with a 39.273, 35.076 for Fear the Fun. DOR Hocus with a 36.152, 35.669 by Carbon. 36.320 by Slow Motion Fire. Phantom with a 36.706. 35.120 by Maverick. Darkser with a 35.889. Not the fastest qualifying time for him. Joe Beardy with a 36.8 Auto 82. LSCM Chaos Fox with a 35.435. That's your qualifying for 50 laps out here at the Top Gear West Circuit in reverse. The Mini Pocono, says Slow Motion Fire. Get it, Chaos Fox. Get it, Hoot, says Max. I know you tried to explain how to pronounce it earlier, and I'll maybe take a stab at it off the air. I'll just say Max right now. Sober saying numbers. Yes, numbers galore. I just kind of rambled them off. You guys can read. I know you're bright enough people. I don't need to read them off. But what else is there to say? If they were in order, then I'd be able to actually talk about where everybody qualified in a much better way. That hopefully that's one of the things that changes with the next motorsport title. You could sort by quickest time. Even if you're not doing like we're doing qualifying here, but even if you were doing a race and you wanted to see the quickest times just for the sake of doing so without having to sort through everybody's time, being able to just click the header and have it do the sorting for you would be awesome. Ace is high, baby, says Hoot Wheels. And here they go, getting loaded up. Let me see if there's anybody in the driver queue. There isn't. It's been really quiet. It's been a much quieter week number 2 as compared to week 1. I'm not going to fault anybody for that, but hey, if you guys want to turn it up for week 3, week 4, week 5, I'll be happy to accommodate. 8 p.m. Eastern right here, same bat time, same bat channel, twitch.tv/Virtual Autosports. You can catch week 1 on all the way through week 5 of the Forza Spec Racing Series here, not only for season number 33, but I suspect for season number 34 as well. Whatever car that might be, and that's one of the bennies of winning the championship here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. Yeah, it's a community event, so really it's a lot of it's for bragging rights. But if you happen to be the championship points leader at the end of the season, then not only do you get those bragging rights, but then you could tell Slow Motion Fire, hey, this is the car that I want to see run in the next season. And then what he does is they keep that in silent, they keep that under wraps, and Slow Motion Fire will take some very obscure photos of the car that you selected. Everybody gets a chance to guess. If you're a driver, if you plan on racing in that season, you can guess what that car is. And if you guess correctly, well then guess what? You have a little bit of an advantage going into that season because you can pick one of the tracks. If you guess the photos correctly, you guess the car correctly from those obscure photos, then you get to pick the car. And because there's 9 races per season, that means 9 correct guesses. I don't know that they ever get that many correct guesses, but if you're at least one of them, then yeah, if your favorite track, like me, is Laguna Seca, maybe it's Catalunya, maybe it's Mugello, Suzuka, Motegi. Nah, we don't have Motegi anymore. Wherever it is here in the world of Forza Motorsport 7 that you do best and you want to race that in season 34, you can do it. You can do it. You just got to guess the car correctly. And in addition to working with the championship points leader and the champion for a season to pick their car, then Slow Motion Fire also works with you in terms of, okay, what do you want to do with this car? Like, how much more performance do you want to add to the vehicle than it already has? Obviously, in the case of the GXP here, they didn't really chuck a lot at it, but you can make that decision. You can say, hey, I want to run the Pontiac Solstice. Of course, you can't do it now because it's already been picked, but you can say, I want to run the Pontiac Solstice, and let's not go crazy with it. Let's keep it down in the C class just to add a little bit of extra horsepower and make it kind of a track day car. You can do that. Or we haven't seen anything above A, at least since I've been broadcasting, and my broadcasts go back to season number 26, 27. And we haven't seen anything above A class, but if you're the season champion, then perhaps you can be the one to change that up. Say, I want to run an R class car or P class car, S class. I think the X class cars might be off the table. Could be wrong, but I think those are off the table here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. Let's see here. And hopefully the car isn't spoiled in advance, says AMS Storm. Oh, was there a little spoilage earlier on in one of these seasons? Maybe with the Pontiac here? Hopefully not. It's just fun. Like, the league itself, as Slow Motion Fire has told us time and time again, it prides itself as being kind of like a beer league. It's not intended to be taken so seriously, and I know a lot of community leagues, they say that, but this has been one of the more well-run and professional in the sense that the guys and gals, they come out here and they do their business and they have fun doing it, and they make us entertained as the spectators. And then there's not a lot of drama that comes out of it. So if you've been a part of a league where maybe there's just a little bit too much in terms of the way of like drama and behind-the-scenes stuff that you just don't want to be a part of, then I seriously recommend that you take a look at the Forza Spec Racing Series. As a matter of fact, because we haven't had a full lobby here in season number 2, that might mean that there are a few slots where you could jump in for week number 3, and even though you won't be in the running for the championship, come out here in week number 3 and have a go at it. Just have some fun. Have a good time out there on the track. See what you're able to do. AMS Udakan will be on the pole position. Surprise, surprise. Cratrim opposite of him there in P2. Corvid and Audrex will be on row number 2. Fear the Fun and Maverick on row 3. Slipstream and Chaos Fox are in row 4. Then it's IPR Wolf Carbon, who, like I said, qualified quite a bit back here. Same goes for Darkser, who's there in 12th. Derek in 11th. Modern Weapon in 13th. Hoot Wheels, Born as Ghost, Joe Beardy, Hocus, Slow Motion Fire, Phantom, Lamborghini, Grim. 21 drivers here for this 50-lapper around the Top Gear West reverse track. Chaos Fox with a heck. And Marchaos 12, thank you for the follow. Marchaos, I appreciate that. All right, one of the benefits here of the pole position, you get to dictate when the race takes off, so keep your eyes there on AMS Udakan. On the pole position, you see Cratrim there on the left-hand side of him, at least from our perspective. And here they go, kick the tires, light the fires. Our final race of the night here in week number 2 of the Forza Spec Racing Series. Season number 33 is underway. Cratrim and Corvette, they're going to go side by side here where Chicago would be. We're just going to call it good old turn number 1 here on this 0.8 of a mile circuit. There's Udakan out in front. Corvette up to second position. That's where he started out. Here's Cratrim in third. There goes Fear the Fun. Wow, Fear the Fun just like a bat out of hell through the red and white striped section there through follow through, and I think he kept a good 2 wheels on the racing line. No, we've got 3 cars off. That's going to be 6. Well, it was. I'm trying to make out who that was. I think maybe Who Wills got up into that mix. Maybe Audrex as well. Cratrim, I think, was part of that, and they continue to kick cones. A great opportunity for the old Shadow 288 cone emote for those of you who picked up a subscription last week. And oh, here comes Fear the Fun up to first position, makes the move around Udakan and Carbon, who are going neck and neck. And here comes Maverick. They're going to go 3, make that 4 wide down the front straightaway here on lap number 3. And I don't know, I kind of called it, right? I said when there's no damage that can be applied to these cars, the only thing that's going to happen, you're going to lose tire wear, you're going to lose gas, but none of those are a concern at this track with this amount of laps. And with that, you can bash into each other without really any consequence. Sure, you shouldn't punt anybody, but a little bit more excitable are these cars. You start to feel somebody else bumping up on you, and you're like, yeah, I can return the favor for you. Let's go ahead and ride on board here. This is going to be with Udakan's car. He's currently in 5th, trying to get back up there into the top spot after Fear the Fun was able to just blow on through here on lap number 2. Actually, it was lap 1. Here is Corbin now, who's going to go up to top spot with Fear the Fun dropping back a spot. Now to the inside. I'm just going to assume that Slow Motion Fire gave them their driver orders as it relates to track limits of this circuit, and assume everybody's adhering to those as best as possible. Looking a little sloppy early on here for the first 5 laps. Corbett is our race leader with Udakan out in front. Carbon in 3rd, Maverick in 4th. Fear the Fun has dropped back 4 spots now to 5th. There's IPR Wolf in 6th. Let's go to Hoot Wheels in 7th. Yeah, if the damage was on, these cars would still be fine. There was nothing that there was not that heavy of a hitting going on back there, but it's still that mentality that we were discussing there with Darkser, where you feel like the permissions have been opened up a little bit. You've been giving a little bit more leniency when you're like, oh, I can't hurt anybody's car. So to bump into him a little bit more is not gonna do anything. Run through the field. It's going to be in first position. Udakan with Corbin. That's where those two were for the qualifying. Carbon in third. Maverick in fourth. Fear the Fun is fifth. Wolf, Hoot Wheels, Darkser are sixth, seventh, and eighth. Slipstream. Chaos Fox in 10th. Born as Ghost in 11th. Derek in 12th. There goes Darkser up to 7th position. Andrex in 13th. Joe Beardy in 14th. Hocus in 15th. Cratrin, Phantom, Lamborghini, Slow Motion Fire, Grim, Modern Weapon are the remaining 6 or 7 cars there on back to 21st position. And unfortunately for Cratrim, finding himself falling further and further back in this race. I suspect he was one of the cars that went off into the grass there, coming back toward the start-finish line where Hammerhead would be out here at the Top Gear test track. Let's go up to Fear the Fun in 5th. Front bumper view there, looking ahead to Maverick. Max saying, I believe it was Chaos Fox who went off early. Yeah, there were 3. I counted 3 cars that were off there out of, I guess, what is that, turn 3? Coming off the first lap. Top Gear test track, the only other time that I've ventured out to this circuit for an organized race was for some of the off-season derby races that I used to host, where we'd have 2 different divisions, oftentimes very different cars. You'd have like a VW Bug and then maybe a Hummer or a van or something, and it was our derby event where at the intersection it was no holds barred. Anything could happen at the intersection. It was around the figure 8 portion, the outer loops, where you had to keep the racing clean. But when it came to that intersection, go full throttle and ride on into one of the poor opponents out there on the track. It was just a fun thing that we did in between Mileage Master seasons. And we had some great times, a lot of big laughs coming out of that. Who knows, maybe we'll get another derby race in at some point. Udakan now establishing a bit of dominance out here at the Top Gear test track. Looks like about a 2-car length lead. Here goes Maverick back up to 4th position. It looked like Fear the Fun was going to be able to grab a spot. He does not. Darkser is up to 6th after qualifying, I think, in 12th, if I remember correctly. Fear the Fun going to try to grab 4th there with Maverick. They're side by side. There's Darkser looking on, stalking, looking to attack the prey when the time is right. Although the sooner the better. The more he rides with these folks, the harder it's going to be to catch up to the top 5. See IPR Wolf right up onto the, there's a little sliver of grass there coming to that first corner here at the west reverse route. And side by side is Maverick and Darkser now. Darkser, who was going to be competing for 5th, is now at risk of falling back to 7th. And now he does move up to 5th, getting around Maverick, who now is in 7th. Let's go to Carbon in 3rd, who now has, well, not just Corbin in 2nd, but some lap traffic there. Grim, one of the back markers. And we'll ride on board here with Carbon. The camera angle is not so hot here on this west reverse circuit. You can try to cut it to the inside through that final corner back toward the start-finish line, or you can run it wide and let the momentum carry you through the corner. It's all a matter of preference, driving style. It's kind of like watching sprint outlaw cars, where you got those drivers who just are able to hoon it on that low line, where a lot of others just don't dare to go because you got to be very precise and know how to get on the accelerator without spinning out on that low line. And then you've got the drivers who will counter steer it through the corners on the high side. And look at this, Udakan is going to run Corvid up into the inside, and there's plenty of room to work with there on the landing strip out here at the Top Gear test track, but Corvid probably not appreciating that nudge a whole heck of a lot. Good view of the action there from Carbon's viewpoint, and now Corvid, maybe a little bit of late braking, runs Udakan wide, and that allowed Carbon to close the gap, and now here they'll go side by side, and Corvid, he's going to return the favor. Yeah, how about that? There was the last time through, last lap. And now here's what things look like on this current lap that they're getting ready to conclude here, the 0.8 of a mile circuit. They've got Lamborghini lap traffic. Fear the Fun now up to third. And Fear the Fun, no fear going into turn number 3. Runs up onto Corvid's driver's side door panel and now picks up second. A twofer for Fear the Fun here on lap number, well, what was lap 19? Again, lap 20, and now Fear the Fun doing his best impression of Richard Hammond drifting the car across the circuit, and now is able to get the thing to grip. Back to third he goes. Let's go to IPR Wolf in 6th position. Udakan in first, Corbin in second, Fear the Fun is third, Carbon, Maverick, Wolf, Hoot Wheels, Chaos Fox, Slipstream, Born as Ghost are your top 10. Let's go to Slipstream in 9th position. Slip able to finish in 11th, so looking to break into the top 10 here in week number 2. All the points and everything you need to know about the Forza Spec Racing Series, especially if you do want to participate in week number 3 and make this a full lobby once again, head on over to reddit.com/r/FM4. Nightbot has just dropped the link in there for you in the Twitch chat. Click that. Get yourself signed up. Let Slow Motion Fire know that, hey, I'd like to participate. Let me get you back up to a full lobby here. And you can make a run to see how good you are, how well you pit up against these other drivers. No, you won't be in the run for the championship beginning in week number 3, but you can at least get out there, get your feelers. Let's go to Born as Ghost, who's running with Audrex. Audrex in that Wu-Tang car. Audrex had a wonderful, wonderful couple of drives there in week number 1. And that's what has him at least entering week number 2 in 8th position on the overall leaderboard. Probably looking to grab a few more spots before this one is done. Kraytrim is now going to run wide in the exact same spot that we saw Fear the Fun make the mistake. And here is Fear the Fun running aboard in third as he's giving Corbin P2 back. Budokan trying to go back to back to back to back. It wouldn't be the first time in the Forza Spec Racing Series. As a matter of fact, we've seen drivers get close to making it a full 9-race sweep. However, with the skill that we have out here in Season 33, making that happen is going to be a lot more difficult. But if you come out of the first 2 weeks with 4 wins, that bodes extremely well for your points total. Extremely well. Because now you've just given all the other drivers who are going to have to find a drop week in there somewhere, but you know that you've got 200 points that you've already claimed yourself that those drivers aren't going to be able to find. A good security blanket should Budokan have a disconnect in one of the future races, or is unable to appear, or just flat out has a bad race. And Corbin and Budokan continue to be right on each other's kicker panels there underneath the driver and passenger side doors. And they keep exchanging position for first. Playing a little game here, it would seem. Fear the Fun getting to be a spectator. We're right there with him. Fourth of Carbon has dropped back considerably. He's back there with Maverick, who's in fifth. IPR Wolf in sixth. Slipstream in seventh. Chaos Fox in eighth. Hoot Wheels dropping back once again in ninth. So, unfortunately for Hoot Wheels, the inconsistencies continue to be the story even after the disconnect in race number 1. That disconnect made it seem like as long as the connection issues could be restored, or done away with, I should say, for the issues, that she'd be good, but it hasn't been the case here in the last 3 races. Maverick in fifth. Civic Element highlighting the message, saying, "Born, get that spot back right now." There's some driver orders for you. Reclaim that spot and do it ASAP. Unfortunately, Born in 11th now at this point. Here comes Maverick. Peeking on the inside here of Carbon. Carbon with the R/FM4. Or / I should say. Let's go to Chaos Fox in 10th. Here on lap number 31. Is he supposed to go radio silent here? I appreciate you telling me, because no, I was not supposed to be radio silent. I was actually on a bit of a rant there. So, yeah, I did hit mute. Well, let me walk that back a little bit. I won't be as long-winded as I was about it, but we're watching these folks go around the track here, and we're commentating. We're talking about all the different cool changes in position and all the passes and all that they're making, but it does not go, obviously, unnoticed that we're living in a different world at this point. And for those of you who go in on a day-to-day basis, because you're either essential to the livelihood of our society, you're a health and safety worker, maybe you work in the grocery stores, maybe you're a hospitality employee who is got to be there to help folks who are needing to have transportation for various reasons, needing to stay at places, at hotel chains and all that. For those of you who are going in on a day-to-day basis to keep things as normal as we could possibly have in this very strange environment, big time thanks to you all. I mean, the few of us who are privileged to be able to work from home, I think we obviously shouldn't and won't take that for granted. Hopefully, when we've gotten to a point where we're able to control this thing a little bit better, and we have a better understanding of how it works and how to protect ourselves, that we can find some normalcy sooner rather than later, and it'll change things. It'll change things, but we'll continue to provide this virtual racing action here at Virtual Auto Sports as long as the Forza Spec Racing Series is going. Obviously, from time to time, I'll be hopping in to help out the Toro folks with their broadcast as we go on here with Chaos Fox, who's sharing a little space here with Hoot Wheels going into turn number 1 on lap 41. What are they racing? Let me tell you there, Mania. They're racing the 2009 Pontiac Solstice GXP, and this is the Forza Spec Racing Series in Forza Motorsport 7, whether you've got it for the Xbox One or the PC. And all of these vehicles have the exact same configuration, performance-wise. They all have the same engine upgrades, suspension upgrades, drivetrain, wheels and tires. All of that is shared from driver to driver. The thing that is different is that these drivers can make adjustments, fine-tuning to the components that permit that do have those that functionality. And here we have a 265 horsepower Pontiac Solstice GXP for the next, well, after tonight, 3 more weeks of racing. And looking to see who is going to come out with the most amount of championship points. And with this being race number 4, next week we will be halfway through the season, believe it or not. There is a drop rule in effect, a drop week rule in effect. So the 4 best weeks in terms of points for each driver will be counted. That 5th and lowest point week for each of these drivers will be dropped. And so you're trying to rack up the most amount of points possible, as is the case with many racing leagues, real and virtual. And right now, MS Udakan, who is running in second, is our back-to-back-to-back driver in season number 33, trying to go 4 times. Going to have to deal with Corvid, though, and Carbon. Maverick has even joined them here as they begin lap number 45 of 50, the 51st lap being a cooldown lap. Mateo Max joining us here tonight. We are graced by his presence. Mateo Max, good to see you. And folks, I will always throw the shout out there every time we see Mateo Max in the chat. Head on over to MateoMax.com if you're looking for like information on Forza Motorsport, Forza Horizon. That includes data on tracks, on cars. Perhaps you're a big-time Microsoft Excel guru. Max is certainly that. He's a data scientist wizard, I'll call him. But he's got you hooked up, so you can download his Excel spreadsheets and put them to use. If it helps you with finding your next car for any sort of community series. Maybe you just want to use it as a tracker of like which cars you own in either Horizon or Motorsport. Good stuff. Did Hoot do well at Road America? Asked Funkhouse. Hoot placed 8th, just behind Maverick out there at Road America. A respectable finish, but there were a few instances that I think had there not been the mistakes that were had, then could have been up maybe a spot or two more. And I think that was where Hoot was wanting to be entering week number 2. She was in the pit lane here on Twitch saying, feeling really confident about this one. Road America, the 12 laps we had out there, and then the 50 laps we have here at Top Gear West. Reverse tri-oval, little Pocono as they're calling it here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. And with just 2.5 laps remaining, we'll go ahead and bring our camera up here to the front of the pack to see who's going to win this one, finish 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Fear the Fun back up there, and you see the back markers. Fear the Fun's now to go ahead and graze in the grass a bit. And Mateo saying, yeah, the Series 21 for Forza Horizon 4 have already been added to the FH4 spreadsheet. There you go. So some of the new Formula Drift cars that have been added. You got a Porsche in there, an old school Porsche, a new Mercedes AMG car, the Ferrari starts with a P. I can't remember what it is. Oh, redacted saying 7th. Okay, I have her down as 8th, but 7th very well could be the case. They get all shuffled up after they cross the line. And speaking of crossing the line, here they go. White flag flies. AMS Udakan out there in front. We're going to ride on board here with Carbon in 3rd, Corbin in 2nd. Let's see if there's any sort of... Oh, look at that. Udakan looking to run a little bit wide, brings it back in, makes it stick across the line. You won't see the line painted on the ground, but there you go. Udakan is going to go 4 wins in a row here in Season 33. Corbin will grab 2nd. 3rd goes to Carbon. Fear the Fun is 4th. Maverick in 5th. IPR Wolf, Cratrium. And let's see if Chaos Fox can hold on. Let's go to Born as Ghost in 11th position. He's got Drex there in front of him in 10th. Hoot Wheels in 9th. Chaos in 8th. And that's how these 4 will finish. And behind Born as Ghost is Slipstream in 12th. Derek in 13th. Phantom in 14th. Slow Motion Fire. Hocus, Joe Beardy, Modern, Lamborghini, Grim are 16th through 20th. Folks, we'll go ahead and run that ad break here, and then we'll be back to talk to some of our drivers here in the Driver Spotlight. That's it. That's the conclusion of week number 2 here at the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series. I'm Dustin Moore. This is Virtual Autosports live on Twitch TV. And for those of you who are not getting any ads right now, I'm just now realizing that Darkster got disconnected, so that's going to be back-to-back weeks for Darkster. Darkster getting a DNF, which is not going to be good for the point total. And as I look over at the standings entering week number 2, Darkster was 10th starting out here tonight, 46 points out in front of Chaos Fox, who has 44, back behind Big Ben, who has 50. Big Ben obviously could take week number 2 and make that his drop week, which keeps him in a really good spot. Darkster, however, will not be the case. So we'll see. We'll see if Darkster is. I hope Darkster will continue on through the season through weeks 3 and 5, 3 through 5. But obviously, that's always very disappointing when you fall out 2 weeks in a row to the internet gremlins. Derek's saying, yo, that battle was fire. 8th through 13th on top of each other. Yeah, there was a great battle back there. We went back there as much as we could before we had to hop back up to the top 3, top 5. But it was close racing all throughout, and the back markers were definitely making it fun, exciting. Great race all around. Looking forward to seeing what week 3 has for us, though. And welcome back, folks. Virtual Auto Sports here live on Twitch TV as we go ahead and put an end. We'll make this a wrap here for tonight, week number 2 in the Forza Spec Racing Series Season 33. Next week will put us at the halfway point, believe it or not, after we finish race number 5 on the schedule, the first race of week 3, we will be halfway through the season. It's always amazing to me how quickly it goes. And now let's go ahead and bring in Fear the Fun, managing to pick up 4th. You're on a tear, dude.
Man, I don't know how I got here. I'm just happy I'm here. Happy to be at the party, man.
Like a tornado swooped you up and just stuck you right out there in front. And we were talking earlier about the overall standings entering week number 2. You were there in 5th position, and I know you told me before we got things going in week number 1 that you wanted to see, because you finished 8th overall in season 32. You're like, hey, I'm eyeing top 5. Then you said, but to be honest, I'm looking at the drivers that are out here on the track, and that's some stiff competition. But man, you're holding your own.
I'm going to be honest, that the 12th at Road America, I had a little bit of engine damage, but I just wasn't performing. I knew I had a good tune for this track. I was like, if I can't do good at any other track, keep up with the fast guys, at least I know I can turn left. So I spent a little bit of time getting this car put together for the one that turns left. I got him first twice. I'll take it, but I didn't win it. But, you know.
Little Pocono, as you guys are calling it here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. We're talking with Fear the Fun in the driver's spotlight at the conclusion of week number 2. There were a few instances where you were up there. I think we saw you in first even through lap 1, maybe even lap 2. Perhaps the nerves just getting the best of you?
100% the nerves. Both times. I was like, I'm in first. This shouldn't be where I'm at. I don't belong here. I'm next to AMS, Huracan, and Corvid, and Carbon, and Maverick, and what am I doing here? This isn't my spot. I didn't earn this spot. I'm not fast. But, you know, I made it.
This is a very odd beginning half of the season 31 here, as we talk with Fear the Fun and the driver's spotlight. We've got Road Atlanta, which I think is probably one of the best combinations for this car. Road Atlanta in the Pontiac Solstice GXP, and then you look at the Green Hell, the Nürburgring Nordschleife. You're trying to keep the top 5 spot on the overall leaderboard. Does that one throw you off a little bit? Are you fearing that one, or are you okay?
I really like Nürburgring. I've driven probably over 1,000 laps throughout various video games since I was like 8-9 years old, and first off back on Project Gotham Racing 2. I've driven on every Forza game I've played. I've driven it on Gran Turismo, Project Gotham Racing. I think I'm going to do good at the Green Hell. I always struggle at Road Atlanta. I either do okay or I do really bad.
Yeah, it's such a tricky track where really one mistake just changes your position in that race, because you've got a lot of grassy area through the first well, for the bulk of the track, and then of course coming around the final right-hander toward the start-finish line, the very ominous wall of tires over there that you clip that, and then you might as well be done for the race. Fear the fun as we wait for week number 3 to come back around to us. What are you doing here in this weird world of COVID to keep yourself occupied, to keep your mind right? What recommendations might you have for everybody else?
I mean, it's not any different from what I was doing beforehand, since I had my cornea transplant and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're trying to just pass the time, find things you're interested in. Like if you like writing, maybe you don't even know if you like writing. Give it a shot at writing. That's what I do a lot. I would say go on Reddit, but Reddit can kind of be a toxic place. Find your niche, the things you like, and then try to be active in them. Try to find ways that you can entertain yourself.
Yeah, find those things that obviously you like as a pastime or as a hobby, but then also search for new areas of interest. I like it. I like it a lot. Well, I would ask you about your writing, but maybe we'll save that for another day. Fear the fun. Awesome job, man. And granted, in the championship point total, we may not see much of a change here as either one of these weeks will be voided, but we look to see as we continue on into week 3 how you're going to keep this thing going, top 5, all the way to the end in week 5.
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to it. I'm surprised I'm getting the positions where I'm at. I think I might even still be in the top 5 in points. Really good for me.
Very, very good for Fear the Fun. And Fear the Fun, I think, is a shining example of even if you don't think yourself to be that competitive, after you run this series time and time again, you're just so used to the format and you find out what other drivers, what their skill is like and where they are best at and where they're not so good. You find yourself up there in the top 10, top 5 pretty dang quickly. Let's go to Chaos Fox now, who, if I took notes correctly, it looks like you finished there in, is that 8th position out in front of Hoot Wheels and back behind Cratrium out at the Top Gear West circuit?
Yes, I finished 8th, and wow, that was a battle pretty much. After a quarter of the race, I got a little tied up with Audrex, but once things settled out and I clawed my way back up to the 8th and 9th position battling with Slip, and my teammate Hoot Wheels caught up, and it was just back and forth between the 3 of us for the rest of the race, and that was just intense. Like, I felt my hands cramping up on me, like with about 10 to go, and I just was doing everything I can to make sure I was hitting my braking marks, especially on the back half of the course, because my braking line was a little bit different than Hoot Wheels' and Slip's, and that's where I would gain time. But if I would just lose my concentration a little bit, I would either accidentally nudge them or just go too wide. But wow, I'm mentally exhausted right now.
Mentally exhausted. Yeah, you put there in the Twitch chat, our pit lane, saying I put it all to defend 8th. My hands hurt. Your hands hurt out here at Top Gear Test Track, and maybe that's just because of the constant turning left, and you're tapping that thumbstick ever so slightly to keep your lines through the corners. Do you have to prepare your hands here for the Nürburgring? There's more corners than I care to count out there, or do you think you're going to do okay on that one?
I think I'll do all right. I've never driven this car on it. I've driven on that track plenty of times. I participated in the tour of 24 hours at Nürburgring there. Oh boy, that was something else.
It's going to be a different beast. I mean, it's a C500 car, which without doubt you did not drive a C500 in the 24 hours of Nürburgring, I'm guessing.
Oh, absolutely not. I was riding a Audi R8 LMS.
Yeah,
that's a whole different beast.
A whole nother level of concentration.
Yes.
What do you make of, you talked about the car that you haven't driven the Pontiac Solstice out at the Nürburgring. I'm guessing not a lot of people have. This is probably not a car track combination that has happened a lot on anybody's Forza Motorsport title where they've decided to hop into that one. But what do you make of the GXP at this point now that we're 4 races into season 33?
The the car is really growing on me. I got the gear ratios finally the way I like, and I feel a lot more confident with the car. I know the limitations of the car a lot better because the problem with the previous round, I was underdriving it. Now I know how far I can push it, and I'm feeling myself a lot faster. Road America, unfortunately, I had a lot of bad luck. That was just kind of my own doing. Here at Top Gear, I know I can do a lot better the last half, moving on for the rest of the season. Um, it's just a matter of not letting my nerves get to me.
Not letting the nerves get to you. And you said that you're growing on this car, which I actually find that interesting. A lot of the drivers who I talked to through the course of the Forza Spec Racing Series, when I asked them about the vehicle, more times than not, they say the car is growing on me. Do you find that to be the case a lot of the times when you're running in these community events, whether it be here with the Forza Spec Racing Series or elsewhere, where they're like, hey, we're going to run this car, and you're like, okay, cool, know nothing about it, but then you go out there and then you find, hey, that's not a half bad vehicle.
Some of the league races I've done, yes, that's happened. I'm a bigger fan of the production cars.
Okay.
So like the Solstice, especially like between C, B, and A, that is right up my alley. I do really good with cars like this. 50-50 with S-Class. The faster cars is what I really struggle with. So like I know Tora is doing right now the Spec Miata Cup, and I'm having a blast with that. These cars are similar to the Miatas, but they have just way more grip. So, I'm bouncing back and forth between these two cars, and there's not too much difference other than the Pontiac grips more, and the Miata keeps you a lot more on edge. But they drive so similar that it's almost like I'm getting extra practice for this car in a different car.
Yeah, that's what I find myself gravitating towards too. I know it's the faster cars that kind of sell the tickets, if you will, for the pro events. But man, these production vehicles, they are always a heck of a lot of fun. We've done some Miata races. I've hosted a couple of myself, and it always results in great battles. Talking with Chaos Fox here in the driver spotlight. My last question for you then is, what vehicle, as we look to the halfway point here in season 33, what vehicle would you rather the champion, without a question, without a shadow of a doubt, stay away from that car, whether it be a kind of car or one specific model?
To stay away from. Ooh, that's not what I expected. I would say I would want to stay away from the smaller track toy kind of cars, whether it's like a Bach Mono or like a Lotus 211 or something like that. I, as much as people love those cars, I don't like them at all, and I seem to struggle with them. But again, I tend to underdrive things, so maybe that's the issue.
That, or you're doing the reverse psychology and you want the next champion to pick one of those vehicles, and so you're telling them not to.
I don't know, maybe.
Who knows?
Could be.
Chaos Fox, always a pleasure chatting with you. Good luck.
Absolutely.
Great racing here tonight, and of course, the leaderboard may not change much between weeks 1 and 2, but we'll see how it goes with the conclusion of week 3. We'll see you a week from tonight.
All right. See you then.
All right, and then now let's go ahead and pull in Hoot Wheels here. Hoot Wheels, I'll be honest. I'll put it out there that a few little mistakes, perhaps getting a little anxious. That's what I saw for the few times that we were able to put the camera on you. Is that kind of your interpretation too? Would you have rather seen yourself do better here in week number 2, or what are your thoughts overall now that it's all said and done?
It's hard to say. I guess I would have to chalk it up to a lack of practice.
Okay.
Pretty much the only practice I got other than today, which is when I rated your stream, was pretty much the day after, just running some practice laps, trying to get the car kind of set up. I think I'm still trying to get used to sim steering as well. There's a lot of like little twitchy bits in the car that I can't quite dial out with a tune, so I just need to kind of sit down, spend a lot of time just trying to get used to how the car handles over certain crests and like undulations through the track. And yeah, just I need some more seat time, which is why I'm here.
Well, if there's any race that you got to prepare for some undulation at, we got Road Atlanta, which is the next one on tap for race number 5. But then you follow that up with the Nordschleife. So, do you maybe get, if you can, do you find a little chance, a little time to get some extra practice in, or are you going to try to wing it again in week 3?
Well, I mean, I could wing it if I really wanted to try, but I think I'm gonna have to sit myself down and get some practice in, especially for a Nordschleife. My thing is though, like Nürburgring is one of my favorite tracks. You know, I've raced it in pretty much every game that it exists, and I'm familiar with most of the track. So I think if I tune my car to be a little bit safer than usual, a little bit slower, but more safer to drive, I'll be pretty well set on Nürburgring, and then Road Atlanta, easy. It's one of my favorite tracks there too.
And of course, I'm giving you a hard time and saying maybe you would have wished to be higher. I'm guessing that's still the case, but right around top 10, not too bad. Let's fast forward to week number 5, and we get done with Prague, the final race of the season. You entered week number 2 here in 18th with 27 points, tied with IPR Wolf. What would you deem at this point a successful season? Where would you be on the overall leaderboard where you would feel happy and then maybe get ready for the next season?
Well, I'm still shooting for that top 5, but realistically speaking, I'm kind of setting my goals a little bit lower. Unfortunately, week 1 was going to be my week, and because of that DC, that kind of ruined that. It's unfortunate, but I think breaking the top 10 would be very satisfactory for me. Last season, I was 13th, jumping in halfway through the season, so I think top 10 is more than doable for me.
Awesome. Well, I love that, setting kind of a goal, and I do look forward to hopefully we'll have the chance to have the conversation 3 weeks from tonight where we could say, hey, you made it. You got there. Top 10. You did it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
I'm going to be there, and then as well as like everybody who comes from my community,
Nice.
from Chaos Box's community, everybody in the Fun Poster Parliament, we're all going to be there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Go ahead with the shout-outs. You got some of them in there, but I'm sure you got a few more.
Yeah, there's a couple more. Shout out to Dot DuPont. Your music's amazing. And I think that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Other than trans rights.
There you go. Absolutely. Equality and diversity in our workforce, in just our everyday society. It's something that I love to see, the progression. Obviously, there's still a lot of work to be done, but I love the fact that we see that kind of advocacy here in the Forza community. Hoot Wheels, great chatting with you, and I hope we get to talk before week number 5. I know I said I look forward to week 5 when we say you made it into the top 10, but I hope to chat with you again here maybe in week 3 or 4.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No problem. I'll try and make it in here.
Awesome. We'll see Hoot Wheels next week, see if she can turn it around and get into that top 10. Top 10, gonna try to make it happen. It's quite an endeavor, but if there's anybody out there on the track who could do it, it is Hoot Wheels. Now let's go to the driver who really did make it happen here in week number 2. Finished in second out there at Road America, and then followed up with a 3rd place finish here at the Top Gear West Circuit in reverse. Carbon, are you okay with that? I know obviously the person that sits there in P1 for the last 4 races, you'd probably love to see that reign of terror in, but all things considered, are you happy with your 2 finishes here in week 2?
Oh yeah, I'm happy, 100%. Frustrated at my qualifying time and the test track, but it ended up working out, and it's just been fun. So
It's been fun for you, and it's been most certainly a lot of fun for us to watch. Looking at the next 5 tracks up ahead, Road Atlanta, Nürburgring, Silverstone, VIR, and then Prague. Is there any one of those that you say, hey, if I'm going to be making a run at Udokan for the win on at least one of these races, what one of those tracks will it be?
oh god, maybe Road Atlanta, but Road America was a good track for me, and I don't know. I think anything can happen. A lot of people who are quick make mistakes, just like myself. I did that on the last corner of Road America. They're now calling it Carbon Corner. So, yeah, no, it should be good.
Carbon Corner. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
We're chatting with Carbon here in the Driver's Spotlight, wrapping up week number 2. We've got Road Atlanta, which you said that you think you'll be good at. Again, I think that combination, that car track combination, is brilliant. The Nürburgring. Did you expect yourself to be this competitive? I think we had heard from somebody earlier who said that they know you, and so their understanding of how competitive you are exists. But are there some names out here that have caught you by surprise?
I've raced with a lot of people. Well, a lot of the familiar gamer tags. So Praetrium, Hurricane, Chaos Fox. A lot of those guys I've raced against in Torah. So, yeah, I'm pretty familiar with them, and I know a lot of people are fast. I've kind of tried to keep myself humble and not how do I put it? Not look at a gamer tag and just automatically assume that they're going to be in one part of the pack. I try to give everybody equal chance, because Forza, everybody will shock you.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who will serve up humble pie when you think you've got it handled, and then here comes somebody who obviously is maybe they've got a better handle for the car, or there's particular tracks that they excel at. There's always somebody to kind of put you in your place. Chatting with Carbon here in the Driver's Spotlight with Week 2 of the Forza Spec Racing Series coming to a close here tonight. You've got the orange number plate on the side of your car, which indicates that you're a new driver to the series, obviously not to Forza Motorsport 7. But what would you say your experience through the first 4 races of this league? What has the experience been like?
It's been great. I like the entire format, and really looking forward to the next races. I've been in quite a few different leagues, and so far this is definitely one of the better ones, and I've been enjoying it quite a bit.
That's a pretty good endorsement. There you go, Slow Motion Fire. You can add that one to the FM4 resume, an endorsement here from Carbon. Carbon, it's been great chatting with you. Obviously, we'll see how the points shake out coming out of week 2, but more importantly, there at the conclusion of week 3, and we'll see how well you do at that one. We'll look forward to chatting with you then.
Yeah, thanks again, Dustin. You guys have a good night.
Yep, you too. And let's see who we've got now in here. AMS Rudicon, who's done it back to back to back to back. I know for some folks, they'll be like, oh my gosh, can somebody put an end to this already? Let's have somebody else win one of these races. But it's always exciting to me to see if we're going to get somebody who clean sweeps the season. Is that what you're eyeing right now, or is it really the kind of the very cliche, I'm going to take it one race at a time?
I'm definitely going to have to go with the cliche. I'm taking it one race at a time. Anything can happen.
That's not the fun answer.
Well, I'm a bit of a fun killer, so...
I want somebody at some point to come in here after they've won back-to-back races and say, no, I want Slow Motion Fire to mail me a golden broom after this season is complete.
That wouldn't be a bad trophy, actually. I might have to ask him about that.
There you go, Slow. You have to start putting that one together. Udakan, we've got what I've been asking a lot of our drivers. We've got Road Atlanta coming up next, 19 laps around that full track. I think that's a brilliant combination. The Nürburgring Nordschleife. I know there's some drivers who really, really excel on a lot of tracks, except for when they step out onto the likes of the Nordschleife or Le Mans. Is that the case with you, or are you just pretty resilient on all circuits?
See, I'm very good at most circuits apart from the Nordschleife, because I don't drive it enough to get an understanding for the track. I think like next week for Nordschleife, I might actually have to do more than like 5 minutes of practice, I think. But we shall see.
Should have to see. Well, Udakan here in the driver's spotlight. You tell me. I know people are going to give me a hard time. I'm trying to put the Italian tongue to it, but I know it doesn't sound great. Do you prefer the attempt, or is it Huracan that you would like rather?
I don't mind. Call me whichever way you want. It's up to you.
I like when people do the phonetics of my pronunciation of it, and it looks like I don't know. So it looks funny the way that it says to the way that they spell it out, but of course it probably sounds funnier to the natural born Italian citizen the way that I'm saying it. That said, is there any driver? I'm going to put you on the spot. Is there any driver who you're going to say is the closest threat to you in terms of putting an end to your streak?
Oh, you're gonna have to do this to me now.
Oh,
No.
yeah. With the spoils come also the hard questions.
It's gonna have to be Carbon, I think.
Okay.
He's definitely got some good pace under him. As seen at Top Gear, like even with that short of a track, he managed to make it work and come through the pack to be challenging towards the lead. And especially at Road America, like he's just very quick in general. And I think he's definitely going to be one that will potentially ruin my clean sweep.
And here, from one kind of tricky question to another, to be honest with us, we were watching the race out there at Road America. It looked like a few times where you're getting a little swervy, touching the grass there on the long front straightaway. Were you just actually distracted, or are you having a little bit of fun with your competitors out there on the track?
I wanted to have some fun. I didn't want to just run away at the front. I wanted to actually enjoy some battling because that's obviously what I enjoy doing while racing. It's not really that fun when you just run away at the front. So I decided to make a few accidental mistakes, I think we can call it, and then ended up battling with the rest of the pack.
How does that typically work within the Forza community? Is it kind of does it rub some people the wrong way as like kind of showmanship and kind of bragging a little bit, or do you think most people respect the fact that, hey, he just wants to make it close? We'll humor it a little bit, and we'll see if anybody can make him eat crow for doing so.
There's always mixed opinions. It depends where you are, really. I think with obviously FM4 being, well, what is a beer league? Obviously, we're all joking around in voice chat. Everyone's like, "Oh, hey, can you do that again?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not? What could go wrong?"
Love it. Love the insight there. 4 races in a row here in not just in week 1 and 2, but all throughout season 33. And next up, week 3, Road Atlanta, the full circuit, then the Nürburgring Nordschleife. We'll see if Udokan can make it happen. Great racing out there. We'll see you for week number 3, and I'm rooting for you. I know some people are hoping the opposite, but I'm like I said, I would be interested to see if we get a clean sweep, and then I'll hold slow motion fire to it that we get you a golden broom sent out. Have a great week. We'll see you a week from tonight.
Thanks, Dustin.
All right, I think that's everybody. I think we got them all. Great group of folks who jump into the driver's spotlight here for the conclusion of things. That's how we like it. I know Slow Motion Fire prefers not to have the queue in between races out of qualifying, so I think this is a pretty good format, and I hope you all enjoyed our racing action here tonight, week number 1. Combine those two, bring it out to week 3 and the tracks that we have in store, and I think we're setting ourselves up for an exciting back half of season 33. Yes, we've got one more race here on the front end of things with Road Atlanta full, but then look at that. Nordschleife, the Silverstone Raceway, International Raceway in the rain for race number 7. Virginia Raceway full, which is a very, very complex track, which will make you pay for going off the circuit. The grass out there is just so unforgiving that you'll just be spinning tires endlessly if you can't keep it on the tarmac. And then our only fantasy track here in season 33, there in week number 5 for the finale on April 28th, Prague, for 69 laps. So much great racing to come. I know a little bit of a change of pace here for week number 2 from where we were in week 1. Week 1 was just such a high bar. I'd hate to say that it was the pinnacle because it was just the beginning of the season. I think we've got so much more. And as Slow Motion Fire tallies up the points, we'll see how things look coming out of week number 2. The picture of the leaderboard really doesn't paint itself well coming out of week number 2 because for the championship points, they're factoring one of those 2 weeks as a drop week. It's not until we start to get out of week 3 and in week 4 that we get a better idea of where people stand and how or who is going to make a run for the championship if they can. Udacon's going to try to stave everybody off and maybe make it 9 in a row, which would be a first, at least in the broadcast that we've been doing of the Forza Spec Racing Series. Folks, it's been a pleasure. Dustin Moore here on Virtual Autosports. Got to let you go here. As always, hope you have a great week between now and next Tuesday. We'll be on same time, same channel. Whoop, let's not run the intro video. We certainly don't need to do that. Have a good time as good as you can, locked up, cooped up indoors. And again, for those of you who are braving the wild that is now just going to work every day, thanks for everything you do to kind of keep things rolling, keep things happening in society, while the rest of us are either working from home, or for those folks who unfortunately you don't have a job right now as a result of this. Hopefully we can see this through to an end sooner rather than later, when we can get our not just local economies but our global economy back up and rolling here, not just through the remainder of this year but on into next year, and hopefully better days are ahead. I most certainly hope that is the case. If you get any more racing action in virtual racing, which I suppose here, or I suspect, with a week to go before we see each other again, keep it fun, keep it safe, keep it clean. Y'all take care. Have a great one. Be happy. Stay healthy. We'll see you next time here on Virtual Autosports and Twitch TV.